Point, someone had told me, he says, Ade, if we're talking business, anything relating to business terms, learn to speak in the language of percentage. So let's say there's a 10% on the table. You should be talking about, you should not say, I'll be getting 10 naira or 15 naira from this. You should say I'll be getting XYZ percentages. That's what it is. Now, if you look around you, you'll find out that as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, maybe somebody who just got advantage to say, can you help me sell these things or get a vendor for it? Everybody is always in pursuit of what they would benefit. It's an ideal state in business to actually get something out of a contract. So if somebody locates you and say, oh, I trust you for the very fact that you have contact in different places, can you help me get somebody that would help construct maybe a pillar or build something around my environment, and you're about bringing that person. Yes, you'd want to make a profit because it's business, but what would come to mind is the percentage you would dictate and how much of that would also influence the work of the person who is about to deliver. So a lot of people have been subjected to situations where the drive for percentage has ruined things. That is why if you look around Nigeria and if you take a look at some structures that are substandard, percentages brought it to where it is, because even in government, you see people say, oh, this is what the contract is worth, then other people begin to collect their own percentage from. Before you know, there's nothing left of it. And so the person who wins the contract eventually just constructs or does a shabby job with whatever is left. That's if they get it. That's the situation. Now, it gets bad because as a people, we complain often and we label everything on the government. But you also forget that there is a sector where the business happens, where life flows on a daily basis, that some of you are culpable of the offense and you see it as, oh, because it is me. There's one thing in Nigeria: if you're the one doing the wrong thing, it's right. As long as you're not caught. That's how most people live their life. So today, people are heading out to their various places of work. Negotiations would happen. Some would call somebody and say, yeah, Obina, I have so job for you, but you know what? You'll give me my cut. That's another word we use for it. You'll give me my cut. And so some people would rather choose to dictate the percentage. Others will say, you know what? When you're done with the gig, you give me whatever pleases you. Sometimes you get, that promise that the person intends to give, but you grumble to say, it's too small now after everything he got. That one, you can manage it. But in situations where the person dictating the percentage would even turn it into a fight, it becomes difficult. So a business owner has raised an alarm. He operates a business in Lagos. He's a caterer, and he come out to complain about the fact that someone actually called him. You know how people advertise their businesses on social media? Someone called him and said they want him to bake some small chops for about 250 guests at an event, and everything that was going to be done into that particular work was a budget of 1.5 million naira. Now, the person who had called him is not even the person who owns, who intend to have that services offered to him at initial. And the young man left his place of work to go and see the person who had reached out to him on social media, being that he displays videos every time of his work. So when he got there, the argument ensued. The person who had called him requested to have 40% of the payment as his own percentage. Now, if you do the math properly, 1.5 million naira, if you take 40% of it, that's about 600,000 naira. So the question would be, what is left for the caterer to execute his job? And just as if that was not enough, the caterer and the man were trying to reach a negotiation. He moved from 40. The caterer said, let's do 30. The man says no. While the argument was ongoing, the man who had invited the caterer over called security on him. to send him out of the premises. So it can get that dicey. And some people even get into trouble that they did not know because of the greed factor from others. Now, this is quite important because it's a situation where you are very comfortable with criticizing the government of the day, but you've not looked within yourself. Let's listen to the account of this young man and the ordeal he had to go through.
Honestly, this is crazy, and I don't know what this one is turning to again. Somebody messaged me like 2 days ago and was like, JD, I see everything you do. Nice one, do big up on yourself, especially your music. I said, thank you. And the person went on and said, okay, can you make small shop for like 200 to 250 people? I said, yes, this is my line also. And I was really, really happy. And then the person said, okay, can you come to Chevron so that I can see the location they want to use and the CEO and everything? I was like, okay, no problem. So he tested me the address. Before that, we discussed about the price. I told him this is the amount I'm going to be collecting to do everything because I'm going to be renting some stuff that I'm going to be using. And he was like, okay, that's fine, no problem. He said on Monday I should be there by 10. Guess what? I left Odu around 6 a.m. early in the morning. I told my sister where I was going so that it won't be as if for security reason I had to tell my sister that this is what happened. Even she was happy, she said, hey, thank God. So I got to Chevron, I called the person, I waited for like an hour, and the person came out. I was like, they did the nice one, blah blah blah, we discussed. And then after discussing, now said I'm going to give him oh my God, he said I'm going to give him 40% of the money, and I was like, bro, 40% for what? You called me, I thought this is, he said now that if I'm going to give him 40%, and I was like, bro, 1.5 million is like the money we discussed about for the small shops and everything, bringing it, I have to rent cars and everything. I was explaining to this guy, and this guy was like, before I follow him inside, you have to agree first that I have to give him 40% out of the 1.5 million naira. I was like, how will I do you know how much the 40% is? So what will be left for me? I'm going to pay guys that are going to work with me. I'm going to rent something. I'm going to buy food stuff and everything I'm going to use. And this guy will people that is going to work with me. Not talk of the cab or the small bus I'm going to rent, go and come. This guy said, no, I'm going to give him 30%, blah, blah, blah. I said, I cannot. This guy calls security on me. Like, he calls security on me. God, I don't so far. Oh, God. This guy, he sees that I'm going to give him 30% out of 1.5 million. I said, guy, do the calculation now. How am I going to give you 30%? I beg this guy, so okay, let me give you 10%. He said 30%. Say, now I'm going back to Korodu now. Guess what? This guy don't block me on IG. Nice one.
And that's how life treats a lot of people. They say life, nice one, 1-0. But it's as a result of you and I, what we do, the greed. If you think your story is isolated, wait until you hear that of others. Because these things happen on a daily. We just tend to suppress it and believe that that's how God wants it. Because we are very comfortable piling a lot of blame on God. And at the same time, some people who are in the habit of doing this, they will be the first to shout, oh, the government is not doing this, but you are part of the problem. Nobody is saying don't make any profit, but don't profiteer. They're two different things. Now, on Real Talk this morning, let's diagnose this situation together. What are your experiences with those who always request percentages? Have you lost a deal because of such requests? And what would be the best approach to tackling such matters? I can see one of us here even nodding to say it has happened to me. Human beings and their ways. The studio lines are open. You can call the following number: 0908-1855966. You can also call 090-229-17917, and we have 0704-1783. Let's discuss businesses and percentages this morning. But we'll go on a short break. When we return, we'll begin to take your calls and contribution on the program. Keep listening to Wave FM.